Thanks for visiting our channel again. As the 1970s and 1980s country music venues shimmered with the fusion of classic melodies and innovation, Barbara Mandrell rose to stardom. In addition to being a phenomenal singer, she represented the entertainment industry's values of independence, originality, and bravery. With hit singles like Sleeping Single in a Double Bed and I Was Country When Country Wasn't Cool, Mandrell continued to win over fans and earned 2 prestigious Entertainer of the Year awards from the Country Music Association. This honor is still held by only a select few female artists. But there's a story full of paradoxes and profound emotion beneath all that glitz. When a celebrity's career is soaring, how can she suddenly decide to stay away from the spotlight? Barbara Mandrell had a brilliant career, so why did she decide to retire and spend more time with her family? Did the profound need to become a mother overwhelm her, or was it the agony of a terrible accident? Barbara Mandrell was a legend who not only shaped country music, but also embodied a story of hardship, sacrifice, and fundamental values. Let us explore her incredible journey together. Things aren't illuminated by stage lights. Barbara Mandrell came into this world on Christmas Day, 1948, in Houston, Texas, to a musical family. Barbara was the first of 3 sisters, and her parents inculcated in her a deep appreciation for music at a young age. While her father, Herbie Mandrell, was an entrepreneurial genius in the music industry and a guitarist, Mary Ellen Mandrell trained her daughter to play the piano and provided her with early musical inspiration. However, this fondness for music was planned and orchestrated. It was shaped by rigorous and, at times, painful training. It was expected that Barbara would not only master an instrument, but also perfect each note to perfection. On other days, her little hands would bleed from practicing for so long, yet she never once grumbled. Barbara felt pressure from both her father and her own high standards for herself, to be perfect and to succeed. Herbie believed that his family could not let Barbara's potential go to waste. In Oceanside, California, Barbara and her family relocated when she was 6 years old, and her father established a music business. This set the stage for an extraordinary childhood for Barbara and served as the springboard for her musical career. During her childhood, Barbara dedicated a great deal of time to practicing the steel guitar, an instrument known for its difficulty, while her friends played with dolls and had carefree days. Focus and tremendous mental power were required of her during these practice sessions as she battled fatigue and strain, motivated by the hope that her skill would be acknowledged someday. She became Princess of Steel at the tender age of 11 thanks to her innate abilities and her strict regimentation. While Barbara took great pleasure in her status, she also felt an unseen weight on her shoulders since she knew that everyone was watching her. Yet, Barbara's skill did not remain contained to the humble living quarters of her family. Her father saw her enormous talent and took her to the theater at a young age. Country music icons like Patsy Cline and Johnny Cash began traveling with a girl named Barbara. The legends were immediately captivated by the incredible talent and professionalism displayed by the young girl, who was barely into her teens. Barbara exhibited not only technical mastery, but also an imposing presence that mesmerized spectators during her performances. Peers, and even some insiders in her field cast jealous looks her way, even as she received enthusiastic acclaim, whose success she attributed entirely to the love and encouragement she received from her family. The stage lights could not always mask Barbara's feelings of isolation. During those reflective moments, she questioned whether she was acting on her heart or just trying to live up to the expectations her parents had set for her. But Barbara didn't allow her uncertainties get the best of her. Rather, she turned them into fuel to keep going. When her father assembled the Mandrell family band, a group that included all of her relatives, the inner strife intensified. Louise played guitar and bass, Barbara played steel guitar, their mother played piano, and Erlene, the youngest sister, took up drums. The band went on an unstoppable cross-country tour and played at USO concerts for troops overseas, becoming a national phenomenon. Despite the allure of the stage, Barbara frequently wondered if she was really fulfilling her lifelong ambition or if she was just trying to appease her parents. With each trip, she had to say goodbye to the childhood fantasies she believed she should have been pursuing. However, Barbara discovered a way to turn these challenges into strengths rather than weaknesses. The resounding ovation that followed each performance brought her immense comfort, serving as a constant reminder that her efforts were not in vain. Growing up in the entertainment industry not only made Barbara Mandrell a talented artist, but it also gave her the strength to overcome adversity. The early hardships she endured shaped her into an extraordinary performer and an incredibly strong lady who would not rest until she broke barriers and made her own unforgettable impression. Having grown accustomed to the scrutiny of others, Barbara Mandrell thought her life was finally beginning to settle down after finishing high school. She wed Ken Dudney, the man she had loved passionately since she was a young girl, when she was just 19 years old. For a young woman seeking stability amidst the constant demands of stage life, her marriage appeared like a modest ideal. After enduring a difficult upbringing, Barbara hoped to finally relax and settle down with her family. But destiny, in its infinite wisdom, ensured that she was never truly out of the limelight for long. Her deep love for music was renewed during a trip to Nashville when she visited the Grand Ole Opry. She felt a surge of nostalgia for the enduring love she had for music as she listened to the enthusiastic applause of the crowd, the powerful country songs, and the electric energy. Without pursuing her musical career, she would never have the fulfilled family life she had always dreamed of. Having recommitted herself to her dream, Barbara set out to demonstrate her artistic prowess and establish herself as more than simply the steel guitar princess. In 1969, Barbara inked a deal with Columbia Records, buoyed by the unfaltering encouragement of her father, Herbie Mandrell, who was absolutely certain that her ability should not be squandered. This was the turning point that catapulted her from intimate performances for her family to a more prominent platform, in which she would encounter numerous difficulties. My Love Has Been With You Too Long, Barbara's first song, was an undeniable demonstration of her abilities. Even though it was a cover of the legendary song by Otis Redding, Barbara gave it her own heart and soul, making it a daring and original performance. The music business took notice of Barbara Mandrell after this song went viral. The road ahead was not, however, smooth, notwithstanding the early success. Many doubted and criticized Barbara when she first started out in her career. The way her music fused classic country with R&B and soul made her sound unusual to many. Some in her field, and those who criticized her thought she was trying to be too revolutionary. In addition to establishing herself as a phenomenal vocalist, Barbara had to fight for the freedom to express herself creatively and innovatively through her music, an action that male co-workers at the time were far more accepted for. Treat Him Right, Barbara's 1971 debut album, was a display of her distinctive style. Not only did listeners love the album, but it was also the catalyst that propelled her to stardom in contemporary country music. Playing Around with Love and Show Me, among Barbara's most popular songs, were appreciated for more than simply their infectious melodies. They were beloved for the way Barbara told personal experiences via her lyrics, letting listeners experience the raw emotions that she had extracted from her life. Resting on her achievements was never an option for Barbara. Repetition was not art for her. Rather, it was a means to an end, the discovery of new possibilities. Barbara made the daring choice to go from Columbia Records and sign with ABC Records in 1975, after several years with the label. As a result of this decision, she began working with Tom Collins, an innovative and forward-thinking music producer. As a result of their collaboration, Barbara entered a new phase in her professional life. Standing Room Only, Barbara's new album, solidified her artistic shift the same year and shot straight to number 5 on the country charts. Even in her performances, Barbara was ahead of the curve. Concerts were more than just a place for her admirers to hear her music. Their high-energy dance routines, multi-instrumental performances, and complex costume changes made them full-scale spectacles. People weren't merely listening to Barbara sing. They were enthralled by her mastery of the steel guitar, banjo, and saxophone. These endeavors did double duty. They won over her supporters and set the stage for her career's crowning glory. The fact that creativity was about more than simply making others happy was something Barbara knew deep inside. It was her method of being authentic. This genuineness is what made Barbara Mandrell an unbeatable figure in the country music industry. Every song, every performance was a chance for her to share her narrative, transforming adversity and suffering into art. Barbara Mandrell's career reached new heights during her time working with ABC Records and producer Tom Collins. Despite country music's reputation for traditionalism, she never sat on her laurels and instead kept pushing the genre's boundaries. Classic country ballads weren't Barbara's exclusive repertoire. She gave them a contemporary R&B and soul flavor, generating an audacious hybrid look. Much more than mere music, her songs told stories of love, betrayal, and the subtle sacrifices of life, in which listeners frequently recognized aspects of their own lives. Throughout the late 1970s and into 1975, Barbara released a steady stream of iconic singles. Her 1978 single "Sleeping Single in a Double Bed" was the musical pinnacle of her career, the Billboard Country chart earning the top spot. The song was more than simply music. It was an audacious proclamation from a fearless woman who was not scared to tackle the most intricate parts of love relationships. She further solidified her place as a trailblazer who shattered barriers in storytelling through country music with the release of "If Loving You Is Wrong, I Don't Want to Be Right." Barbara hoped her listeners to do more than only enjoy her music. She wished for them to feel it. Barbara transformed every performance into an elaborate entertainment extravaganza with her use of elaborate stage lighting, custom-designed costumes, and multi-instrumental displays. Her presentations were more akin to brilliant works of art than concerts. On stage, she would often switch outfits, integrate energetic dance routines, and astound listeners with her deft touch on steel guitar, saxophone, banjo, and bass. In addition to making her one of the most beloved performers of all time, her indefatigable inventiveness revolutionized country music by releasing it from its traditional confines and replacing it with a vibrant, contemporary sound. Even as the 1980s began, Barbara Mandrell was still very much in the spotlight and was the undisputed chart queen. "I Was Country When Country Wasn't Cool," "Years," and "Crackers" were all smash hits that demonstrated her talent for bringing country music to a wider audience. Among Barbara's many albums, "I Was Country When Country Wasn't Cool" stands out as a strong declaration of her steadfast commitment to her roots in the face of industry turmoil and difficulty. Barbara was one of the only female artists of her time to garner widespread acclaim. She broke a record by being the first female entertainer to win the CMA Entertainer of the Year award from the Country Music Association twice in a row, 1980 and 1981. These honors served as a declaration that women could indeed lead in a male-dominated field, while simultaneously recognizing her brilliance. Taylor Swift is one of only a few number of artists that have achieved the same level of success as Barbara, thus cementing her place in music history as an innovator. However, Barbara's life was anything but idyllic when she was out of the limelight. Her life was turned upside down in 1984 when she was in a terrible vehicle accident. Mark White, a 19-year-old motorist, crossed the center line and crashed head-on with Barbara's car as she was driving home to Nashville with her two small children. Mark White passed away on the spot, and Barbara and her kids were badly hurt. Barbara was hit so hard that she fractured her ankle and leg and had a concussion that temporarily damaged her brain. Her kids made it out alive, but they were scarred in ways that continued to trouble them for a long time. Both the physical and mental harm caused by the collision were substantial. Barbara needed more than a year to recuperate from her injuries, and even then, she felt the aftereffects of her brain damage. Her ailment, which she characterized as "losing a part of myself," included memory loss and changes in personality. Barbara had to face a terrifying question again and over again due to the disorientation and constant agony. Was this the final chapter in her extraordinary career, or would she someday be performing on stage again? That wasn't the end of the difficulties. To get her insurance company to pay for her astronomical medical bills, Barbara had to sue Mark White's family in Tennessee. Controversy ensued over what was really just a necessary formality to satisfy insurance requirements. Her reputation took a temporary hit when many of her followers, who were unaware of the full extent of the situation, blasted her for suing the victim's family. But Barbara remained resolute, concentrating on getting well and living with a can-do attitude. Barbara did not let the accident become an insurmountable tragedy. Rather, she used it as a springboard for significant change. After she got well, She used her tale to get people talking about how important it is to wear seatbelts. She had the opportunity to take part in public campaigns and events as a representative of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, where she advocated for the usage of seatbelts. My children and I wouldn't be here to tell this story if seatbelts hadn't been invented, Barbara bluntly stated. Barbara Mandrell remained true to herself and refused to allow tragedy to define her. She made her triumphant stage return barely 8 months following the accident, joining forces with Dolly Parton for a benefit performance. The initial agonizing steps back were the beginning of Barbara's victorious return. With her career back on track, she became a prominent voice in favor of seatbelt use, making appearances in public safety initiatives to raise awareness about the importance of safe driving. Barbara saw the accident as a testament to the power of resilience, optimism, and determination rather than the conclusion of her story. Barbara continued to hold a unique position in the hearts of her admirers even when musical tastes started to move toward new types in the late 1980s. She maintained her status as one of the most beloved entertainers, regularly selling out arenas with her thrilling performances, even though her chart-topping successes grew less frequent. Barbara startled the music business in 1997 when she announced her retirement at the age of 49, following more than 3 decades of unwavering dedication to music. A deeply personal choice to devote her time and attention totally to her family drove her decision, not failure or fear. She was a kind mother who wanted to be there for her son as he started high school, a time when he would benefit greatly from her advice. The symbolic act of selling all of Barbara's musical equipment was a powerful way for her to end her music career. No remorse follows. Everything I wanted to do has been done, and now it's time to live the life I've always longed for, she shared in an interview. Barbara's farewell performance at the Grand Ole Opry, titled The Last Dance, wasn't just a concert. It was an emotional celebration of her illustrious career. The stage was adorned beautifully, and Barbara appeared under dazzling lights, delivering the hits that had defined her career for the final time before thousands of fans. The night, filled with thunderous applause, tears from her admirers, and heartfelt goodbyes, became a historic moment. Barbara concluded her career with profound gratitude, a satisfied smile, and the promise of a peaceful future with her family. Though she stepped away from the stage, Barbara Mandrell's legacy endures in the hearts of her fans and the music industry. She was not just an artist, but a strong, resilient woman who faced tragedy head-on, overcame it, and transformed it into inspiration for the world. Behind the spotlight, Barbara Mandrell was not only an extraordinary artist, but also a resilient woman with a deeply meaningful personal life. Though fame elevated her to the status of an icon, Barbara always kept a part of herself reserved for her family, where she found true peace amid the storms of the entertainment industry. Her love for Ken Dudney, the husband she had been devoted to since her youth, was a source of strength that helped Barbara face the immense pressures of her career. Ken, a former Navy pilot and once a drummer in the Mandrell family band, was not only her partner, but also her unwavering emotional anchor. Their love endured the tests of time and remained steadfast, even as they faced life-altering events, such as the 1984 car accident. It was Ken who stood by her side, offering support and care during the months she spent recovering both physically and emotionally. As the mother of 3 children, Kenneth Matthew, Jamie Nicole, and Nathaniel Mandrell Dudney, Barbara always prioritized her role as a mother, even at the height of her career. After announcing her retirement in 1997, she devoted her time entirely to her family, particularly to Nathaniel, her youngest son, as he navigated the challenging years of high school. Barbara once shared that watching her children grow up in a peaceful, loving environment was the greatest gift life has to offer. Though she stepped away from the spotlight, Barbara never entirely abandoned her passion for music. In the years following her retirement, she occasionally performed in small gatherings or at church, where she sang hymns with heartfelt devotion. These moments not only allowed her to stay connected to music, but also served as a way to share comfort and faith with her community. However, Barbara's personal life was not limited to her family and music. A strong and driven woman, she dedicated much of her time to charitable and social causes. Barbara became an outspoken advocate for traffic safety campaigns, particularly the use of seat belts, a practice she believed had saved her and her children's lives. She also supported numerous other charitable organizations, from aiding orphans to programs assisting veterans. Barbara was never afraid to openly discuss the challenges she had faced, from the pressures of motherhood to the overwhelming expectations of her audience. Her stories, whether about family love or life's obstacles, consistently resonated with others, offering both empathy and inspiration. For Barbara, inspiring and setting an example for younger generations was not just a responsibility, but an essential part of her life. Amid her busy life, Barbara found ways to maintain balance and tranquility. The Mandrell family's home in Nashville, a sprawling ranch surrounded by serene nature, became her sanctuary, where she found joy in life's simple pleasures. Days spent tending her garden, playing with her pets, or simply sitting with kin to watch the sunset over the fields brought Barbara the deepest sense of peace. Barbara Mandrell's life, though marked by trials and tribulations, ultimately tells a story of love, sacrifice, and timeless values. She was not only a symbol of country music, but also a role model for resilience, placing family and spiritual values above all else. Though she stepped away from the stage, Barbara continues to live a life full of purpose, a life she crafted with her own hands, guided by love and unwavering faith. To audiences, Barbara Mandrell left an indelible mark not only on country music, but also as a symbol of resilience and dedication. After reaching the pinnacle of her career and stepping away from the spotlight, she devoted herself entirely to her family, yet her influence and legacy continue to resonate across generations. Although she no longer performed professionally, Barbara never fully distanced herself from the music community. In 2009, she was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, a well-deserved recognition for her extraordinary contributions. The ceremony was not only a celebration of Barbara's career, but also a heartfelt tribute, with performances by leading artists like Reba McEntire and Michael McDonald. However, the joyous occasion carried a bittersweet undertone, as her father, Herbie Mandrell, the guiding force behind her journey, had passed away just 2 months earlier. In an emotional speech, Barbara said, "And I am proud to carry that name into the Hall of Fame." Barbara is remembered not only as a star, but also as an inspiration to generations of female artists who followed in her footsteps. Many country music legends have spoken highly of her, praising her innovative spirit as much as her talent. This includes Faith Hill, Shania Twain, and Carrie Underwood. Women artists like myself can trace our footsteps back to Barbara, as Carrie Underwood once said. She did this for the benefit of everyone, not just herself. Performing at the Grand Ole Opry to commemorate half a century since she joined the esteemed organization was one of the rare times Barbara took the stage again in 2022. She didn't sing a note, but just being there brought back so many fond memories of the golden age of country music and her lasting influence. As a touching homage that evening, female performers like CeCe Winans and Carrie Underwood sang Barbara's songs. "The Opry has always been my home," Barbara said as she sat proudly in the audience. "When I return here, it's as if I found my home again." In addition to her singing, Barbara's Nashville house, the Fontanelle Mansion, left a tremendous legacy. Guided tours, musical performances, and other entertainment events provide fans an opportunity to learn about Barbara's and her family's history at this now popular tourist destination. Her lively life and the principles she adored are symbolized by the home, which is more than just a place. A life of hardship, success, and dogged determination is Barbara Mandrell's narrative. Music and the principles she championed ensure that her legacy will live on long after she has left the limelight, which is over 20 years ago. In addition to being a legendary figure in country music, she is a real-life example of how strength, love, and family can triumph over adversity. "I don't require celebrity to feel whole," Barbara Mandrell once remarked. As an example of a talent-based career, all I need to do is live a life that matters. Enthusiasm and steadfast principles. Her story may have ended, but the inspiration she offered will live on in the globe and guide generations to come. Barbara Mandrell was more than just a famous artist. She was a strong, independent woman who faced each day with enthusiasm, purpose, and a sense of personal responsibility. She opted for the more challenging route so that she could not only remain unwavering in the face of scrutiny, but also to carve out a life for herself far from the limelight. The spotlight may be off Barbara now, but her legacy will remain strong in the hearts of her fans. Her narrative is more than just that of a celebrity. It is an inspiring testament to the power of love, determination, and endurance. Music dies, but the impression you make on people's lives is immortal, as she herself put it. On Barbara Mandrell's remarkable trip, what are your views? She has influenced a whole generation of country music lovers. Has she done the same for you? Feel free to provide your opinions in the space provided. If you enjoyed this moving tribute to music icons, please like and subscribe for more content like this. Let us make sure that Barbara Mandrell's legacy lives on, both in our hearts and in the hearts of those who come after us.